influence of multinational corporations on global economic policies. This research explores how multinational corporations, or MNCs, are not just business entities but powerful actors that shape the economic rules followed by many countries. Using a qualitative research design and documentary analysis, the study reviewed academic articles, policy documents, and reports from institutions like WTO, IMF, and UNCTAD. Our findings show that MNCs influence policymaking through lobbying, financial power, participation in global consultations, and by controlling global supply chain standards. Because of these mechanisms, they can shape policies related to trade, taxation, labor regulations, environmental standards, and investment flows. The research also highlights both sides of this influence. While MNCs bring economic growth, employment, technology, transfer, and global production standards, their influence can also lead to unequal bargaining power, reduced policy, autonomy in developing nations, and rules that sometimes favor corporate interests over social welfare.
Moving on, let's highlight the important issue revealed by the study. First, the issue of policy imbalance. Developing countries often depend heavily on MNC investment. Because of this dependence, they sometimes agree to the policy that prioritize corporate initiatives over long-term national development. Second, the spread of global supply chain standards. NMCs often dictate labor, environmental, and production standards for entire industry. This can raise quality but also pressure smaller or local firms that cannot keep up. The third, tax avoidance and regulatory gaps. Some MNCs use their global presence to minimize tax or take advantage or weak regulatory system, affecting national revenue and public service. Fourth, political influence through lobbying. NMCs investment million in lobbying efforts to influence trade agreement, taxation laws, and environmental regulation. This raised questions about transparency and fairness in global governance. Overall, the result shows that NMCs are extremely influential, for better, for worse, and their role in policymaking and becoming stronger as globalization deepens.
For the methodology, the study used a qualitative documentary analysis approach, which means we collect and examine existing literature, academic journals, policy documents, institutional reports, and international agreements. The goal was to influence and what effects this has on global economic governance. From the analysis, several key patterns emerge. MNCs influence international institutions like the WTO and IMF by joining consultation and advisory groups. They shape investment policies by negotiating terms with governments, especially in developing countries seeking foreign capital. MNCs affects labor and environmental policies by setting up private standards that other companies must follow to join global supply chains. Their economic strength gives them a voice equal to or a greater than small or developing nations in global negotiations. These findings suggest that global economic policies are no longer shaped by a powerful private actors whose priorities by a differ from public welfare.
To conclude, the study recognizes that MNCs are essential players in global economic development, but their influence must be handled with balance and accountability. MNCs help drive innovation, employment, and global integration. However, their growing power also risks overpowering national policies and widening inequalities, especially for developing countries. Therefore, stronger governance is needed to ensure fairness. For recommendations, increase policy transparency in international institutions to limit biased corporate influence. Secondly, strengthen regulations in developing countries so they can negotiate fairer agreements. And thirdly, create global tax rules to prevent tax avoidance and ensure corporate responsibility. And fourthly, encourage inclusive policymaking, allowing civil society and smaller nations to have voice. And lastly, promote sustainable and ethical business practices across global supply chains.
I am Shaina Marie D.
I am Angelo Lampos. I'm Julius Cesar Espacali.
And I am Ellen